Now, from CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
I'm Jim DeFede, and welcome to Facing South Florida. In the short time Fabian Basabe has been in the state legislature, he's made quite a bit of news, from his votes in Tallahassee that have angered the gay community he represents on Miami Beach, to his decision to skip out on a vote over abortion, even though he campaigned as a pro-choice candidate, to the allegations he has groped and sexually harassed his staff. But I think it is worth starting with Fabian Basabe's background and how he won his election in 2022.
His father was a wealthy banker from Ecuador who owned several hotels in Miami. Basabe spent his early years as a socialite, a so-called it boy who the Washington Post in 2005 dubbed the male equivalent of Paris Hilton. His agent at the Ford Modeling Agency summarized Basabe's talent this way: he's popular for being popular. Back then, the closest he came to politics was when he was photographed grinding on the dance floor of a Manhattan nightclub with then-first daughter Barbara Bush. He also appeared in a short-lived reality TV show, Filthy Rich Cattle Drive, in which the children of rich and famous people worked at a Colorado cattle ranch.
I'm not their butler.
So Fabian comes up with his own solution.
We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, you are.
And
you're asking for an assistant to haul your laundry around.
And I'm happy to pay for it.
He married the Italian heiress to the La Perla lingerie fortune and moved to South Florida, where he's been a fixture on the South Beach party circuit. But he has gotten into trouble even before running for office. In 2019, during Art Basel, an African-American publicist claimed Basabe told her she was a peasant and a whore because she wouldn't allow him into a party. She also claims he called her the N-word. A security guard present at the event, interviewed by the New York Post, also claimed Basabe used the N-word. Basabe admitted to the New York Post he called her a peasant, but denied using the racial slur.
In 2020, he was charged with robbery by sudden snatching, a felony, after a neighbor claimed he grabbed her cell phone and threw it in the building's pool. Basabe said she was recording his underage son. The charge was reduced to a misdemeanor, and Basabe was ordered to pay a fine.
In 2021, he ran for Miami Beach City Commission, but was thrown off the ballot by a judge because Basabe didn't meet the residency requirements. And that brings us to his 2022 campaign for the State House of Representatives. The district stretches from Miami Beach to Aventura and is drawn to favor Democrats.
Basabe, a Republican, ran as a moderate, promising to support gay rights and a woman's right to choose. He also had the money to bankroll his campaign, spending $250,000 of his own money to run, which in a state house race is a lot of money. And he had the support of Republicans like Senator Marco Rubio.
But most important of all, he ran at a time when Ron DeSantis was firing up Republican turnout in Miami-Dade, and Democrats in South Florida stayed home because they just weren't excited by Charlie Crist. So DeSantis' big red wave swept Basabe into office.
Nearly 53,000 votes were cast, and Basabe squeaked by with a 240-vote win. I have interviewed Basabe twice since he took office, and on both occasions, the interviews did not go well. The first interview was in April. He responded to the idea that he rode in on DeSantis' coattails, and I also gave him a chance to discuss the incident in which he allegedly used the N-word. Take a look. You won by a very narrow margin. You sort of rode in on a very large red wave across the state led by Governor DeSantis.
Absolutely not.
You don't believe that? Okay, tell me, explain.
No. I campaigned for 18 months. Those are my voters. I knocked on over 17,000 doors. I stood in streets. I spoke to over 150,000 people. Those are my voters. And I expect them to give me the chance to do the job that I came up here to do. I'm going to bring back a lot of money. I'm working on the legislation that I promised I would deliver upon. I'm voting in the best interest of our community as a whole. And I am going to take on these advocacy groups turned agitators head on, because they are not properly informing my base. But I have faith in my voters, and they're going to give me the time to get the job done.
This is the first time you and I have spoken, so I want to give you a chance to address there's been a lot that was thrown at you early in the campaign from the past, and I do want you to address just one issue that came up, the 2019 Art Basel incident in which you allegedly were heard to use the N-word.
So this is somebody, and it's very interesting because it's a publicist, right? And I don't want to get into it or give this person any more importance than they've already tried to gain for themselves. It did not happen. I have two witnesses that for some reason were never heard. Their voices were never heard, but you had other people in a very difficult time that just, if you say things often enough, all of a sudden it's true. It didn't happen. It did not happen. I am inclusive. I have no hate in my body. I love people. I love people. I don't have to do this job. I do this purely for the love of people. I have no business industry in my district. I have no political aspirations. This is pure community service because I see the people and the communities that I love and support of multicultural, diverse backgrounds, diverse everything, suffering. They are no longer smiling. That incident did not happen, and I will not give it any more importance. It's my word against hers. I don't care that she got somebody who nobody can find to back up some statement that ... said this, that, the other. I don't care.
Let me just ask it this way. Let me move on by just asking it this way. Have you ever, in conversation or in any actions, used the N-word?
Are you crazy? Are you like accusing me of being a racist?
I'm asking if you've ever used the word.
This is just absurd. Come on, let's be serious. You know what we really need to be talking about? Instead of all these distractions to what's really going on, we need to talk about two things. If you want to go big, let's talk about nationally, how internationally the dollar is no longer recognized. That 40 countries are no longer trading on the US dollar. The devaluation of the US dollar is going to cripple our economy. You want to stay local in Florida? Why aren't we talking about the sargassum that's coming here? You've got sargassum that you can see from space coming into our Florida waters. This is going to destroy our tourism. This is going to affect so much. And it's in international waters right now, which means it's a federal issue. Why are we not putting pressure? Why are we not focused on real issues that are affecting the lives of our community? This is absurd. No, and you do know that I'm also mixed race. You do know that I have family of all backgrounds. You know that my closest friends are multinational, multicultural, multi-ethnic. This is absurd. I will not give that issue ever again any more importance. It's beneath me to even discuss things so petty.
Next, we moved on to another alleged incident. I had learned that he had allegedly slapped his legislative aide, Nick Frivola, across the face and told him to stand in the corner during an event in Tallahassee. Here is that part of the interview. You have a legislative aide by the name of Nicholas Frivola, correct?
Yes.
He tells me that there was an incident on January 3rd of 2023 in which you slapped him across the face. Did you do that?
What? I don't remember anything like that. Nicholas Frivola is a good kid. He works here. He's out for a couple days. He's in and out, but he's been doing good work. I'm very surprised to hear that.
So what he said is it was at a function at, I believe, the Southern Group on right after the inauguration that you were, and this, I'll read what he said. One incident occurred on January 3rd, 2023 at a public event I attended with...
If there's something going on with that kid, and I know that he's been addressed by leadership for some personal issues here, he's always done right by me, so I'm staying out of it, but I know he's been reprimanded. I don't want to discuss something that might be an internal thing going on with him, and if he's a little disgruntled at the moment, I don't know why he's targeting me, but it is what it is.
Are you aware of whether or not, have you been contacted by the Speaker's office with regard to any investigation regarding his allegations that you struck him?
Absolutely not. The only thing about him that came to my attention was that he was being inappropriate with another woman, and I'll leave it at that because I cannot confirm or deny any of it because I was not involved.
I just want to give you... I just want to read you what the statement was that he gave me. One incident occurred on January 3rd, 2023 at a public event I attended with my boss, Representative Fabian Basabe. He had been drinking and was mistaken about something that led him to slap me in the face in front of other people in the room. He then told me to stand in the corner. I was so embarrassed that I did as he asked. I chose not to speak about it at the time for several reasons, because I was horribly embarrassed and I was unsure of my right to do so. because Representative Basabe required me to sign an NDA when I started working with him.
Well, obviously, whatever that is he's up to something else. And I guess there'll be more to come because this is the first I'm hearing of it.
And then there was this exchange about whether he requires his staff to sign non-disclosure agreements.
Do you require your employees to sign NDAs?
There's an application package. Whatever's in there is in there. I don't deal with the hiring process.
Keep in mind what he said for later. Now, the speaker did hire an outside firm to investigate the allegations Basabe slapped his aide. The law firm issued a 3-page report late last month, closing the investigation as inconclusive because of a lack of corroborating witnesses. And that's where this part of the story may have come to an end. But we now know there is more. And when we come back, we will get into the latest allegations against Representative Basabe, that he made unwanted sexual advances on his staff. He denies doing anything wrong, and when we come back, you will hear what he has to say. Stay with us. Welcome back. We've been taking a closer look at the allegations of misconduct involving State Representative Fabian Basabe. Working with the Miami Herald, CBS News Miami reported earlier this month that Basabe's former intern and his legislative aide claimed Basabe sexually harassed them. Here is our story, which contains an interview I did with Basabe on June 29th.
Obviously, this was a waste of my time because you have no intentions of actually discussing issues that pertain to anything going on in my district right now. You just want to keep pushing this theater, this drama.
State Representative Fabian Basabe did not want to discuss the allegations of sexual harassment made by 2 of his former staffers. On Thursday, Nicholas Frivola, who was Basabe's legislative aide, and Jacob Cutbirth, who was an intern for Basabe, filed a lawsuit describing in graphic detail what they say were various encounters involving Basabe, starting with a night just before the legislative session began when Cutbirth said he met Basabe for the first time at a bar in Tallahassee. In the lawsuit, Cutbirth alleges Basabe was drunk and was asked to drive the newly elected legislator back to his hotel. While Cutbirth was driving, Basabe began to physically touch and grope him and to grab at him to try to kiss him. Cutbirth found this touching to be offensive, and he told Basabe to stop touching him. When Cutbirth and Basabe arrived at Basabe's hotel, Basabe attempted to entice Cutbirth to come up to his hotel room with him to have sex. Cutbirth refused. Cutbirth recognized that Basabe was intoxicated, and he believed that when Basabe became sober, he would be embarrassed by his behavior and refrain from engaging in such acts and comments in the future.
A month later, on January 24, 2023, Cutbirth was hired as an unpaid intern, working for Basabe at the Capitol 2 days a week.
Cutbirth believed the invitation to serve as Basabe's intern was an apology for the offensive touching and comments that Basabe had engaged upon him on December 15, 2022. But within a week, Cutbirth said Basabe started making inappropriate sexual comments. Basabe stated that Cutbirth was eye candy. On several occasions, Basabe called Cutbirth into his office and told Cutbirth that he needed to flirt with him while he was in the office. Basabe told Cutbirth that he should not marry his girlfriend, fiancée, because the marriage would never last and that Cutbirth should explore his sexuality by having sex with men. On February 21, 2023, Basabe showed Cutbirth and Nicholas Frivola a photograph of a naked man on his phone. Basabe's comments allegedly grew even more explicit regarding sex. Because Cutbirth found Basabe's pervasive sexual harassment and comments to be offensive to him, he quit as Basabe's intern that same day, March 7th, by walking out of the office and never returning.
While interning at the Capitol, Cutbirth also worked at a local bar. The owner, Carl Bengston, told us that Cutbirth discussed with him Basabe's behavior as it was happening. "It takes a lot for my skin to crawl," he said, and it was making my skin crawl. Bengston, who is gay, said he warned Cutbirth that Basabe's actions seemed predatory and that Cutbirth should try to get himself another internship. The suit also provides an account of an alleged incident at North Beach Elementary.
On December 20, 2022, while Basabe and Nicholas Frivola were at North Beach Elementary for the school's career day and standing in the back of a classroom full of children, Basabe stated to Nicholas Frivola, "I want all of that butt." And then Basabe touched Nicholas Frivola's buttocks by slapping it with his hand, which Nicholas Frivola found offensive and which was without his consent.
Both Cutbirth and Frivola say that they didn't know what they could do or how to report Basabe's behavior because he made both of them sign non-disclosure agreements when they went to work for Basabe.
Cutbirth and Frivola provided CBS Miami and the Herald copies of the NDA they claim Basabe made them sign. Did you sexually harass Nick Frivola?
Of course I did not. This is getting a little bit ridiculous. And if he had any other false accusations to make in the months that he had to make them, I think he should have done so.
Last week, CBS Miami asked Basabe about some of the claims made by Frivola and Cutbirth. Did you discuss sex with him? Did you show him naked pictures of men? Did you ask him the type of sex he has with his girlfriend? Anything like that?
This is getting ridiculous, Jim. I've given you time, and I understand that this is kind of the way you do your show, but taking time and attention away from the mission at hand, which is a lot of hard work that affects a lot of people, is really offensive.
Who is Jacob Cutbirth?
There was a Jacob that was a friend of his that was an intern at some point.
According to Jacob, he says that you also sexually harassed him. You asked him questions. You said things like, and again, it could have been misconstrued that he's
Sam,
supposed to
here's
flirt
what I'm
with
gonna
you.
do. Here's what I'm going to do. If you're going to just take accusations from people who already, this is part of that team, who've already been proven to misrepresent things and have no one to corroborate it, I'm just going to end this because I'm not going to give this any more time. I actually thought that you were sincere and interested.
I am sincere. I'm trying to give you an opportunity.
This is not. You know what you can do with that? You can do exactly what you did last time and let it get out there and have your fun with it.
Did you ever try to kiss or grope Jacob?
I'm not interested in this line of questioning, but I appreciate that that's what you'd like to have to get your show some attention with at my expense. I appreciate it.
The speaker has now started a new investigation into the allegations against Basabe. And again, let's be clear, Basabe denies he did anything wrong with his staff.
Basabe's attorney issued the following statement. We are currently reviewing the complaint that was just filed. Representative Basabe will not be litigating this frivolous and meritless lawsuit in the media or giving it any more public attention than it deserves, which is none. Representative Basabe looks forward to defending himself in court, and we believe he will be fully vindicated once these allegations are scrutinized under the rule of law.
Both Cutbirth and Frivola say they didn't come forward sooner because they didn't know their rights after Basabe had them sign a non-disclosure agreement when they first met. Which raises an interesting question. If you remember, in April, I asked Basabe if he required his staff to sign non-disclosure agreements. Here's what he had to say.
Do you require your employees to sign NDAs?
There's an application package. Whatever's in there is in there. I don't deal with the hiring process.
And then in June, when I asked about the NDAs that both Frivola and Cutbirth said he required them to sign, here is his new explanation for what he said.
So entering my personal life, there's a lot of people involved in my life. There's my family, there's my friends, there's a lot of interesting people, a lot of high profile people, and I try to protect their privacy specifically from opportunists like the one we just witnessed. It's a pretty standard thing. It's something personal, has nothing to do with Tallahassee. It's just you enter my home and, people get ideas, and I just don't appreciate people taking advantage of it, I've been a target for a lot longer than I've been elected. So it's
because when we first spoke about this, you said it was just part of the standard Tallahassee hiring practice of the paperwork, and it's clear now that it's not.
I believe I said that I didn't handle that. I mean, someone did handle that for me, so I wasn't there for it. But if does that practice exist? Does it exist in my life and many others? Sure.
Now, one aspect of the lawsuit brought by Frivola and Cuthbert that has been overshadowed by the sexual harassment allegations is the fact that Frivola and his mother are also suing Basabe for alleged defamation. In April, this is what Basabe had to say about Frivola.
Nicholas Frivola is a good kid. He works here. He's in and out, but she's been doing good work.
Then in June, after the law firm issued the report saying the evidence was inconclusive about whether Basabe had slapped Frivola, Basabe issued a long post on social media describing Nicholas Frivola as lazy, entitled, unscrupulous, self-involved, ungrateful, lying scum. And he referred to Frivola and his mother as this conning, scheming mother and son duo who appear to be making suing a profession. They have a reported history of lawsuits against anyone who they think can or will pay. I asked Basabe about those comments. The other thing that you said in your statement was this conning, scheming mother and son duo appear to be making suing a profession. What does that refer to?
I think that's something more I don't know your background. I'm assuming something of an investigative journalist. I'm going to leave that up to you. I've said my part. I was not happy that happened. They have their own reputation, and that's something that they're going to have to face, and that's a question for them. I don't really want to get involved with them anymore.
But do they have, how did you come to the conclusion that they have a reputation, as you said, they have reported history of lawsuits?
I don't want to say any more than I've already said on them. I think they've gotten enough attention in being part of my life for their 15 minutes. That's a question for them. I don't even know what's going on in their personal lives, what questions they may have to answer in the future, and I certainly don't want to be a part of it.
Well, you referred to Nick as lying scum, right? Do you consider Nick Frivola to be lying scum?
I'm not happy that somebody took advantage of a situation. It's no secret that as a public figure, you become an instant target. But that was someone that I trusted. And whatever's going on in his personal life, to think that somehow making things up about me would be either a shortcut to advancement or a distraction from his own problems, I didn't appreciate it.
So what happens next? As I mentioned, the Speaker says he will hire a new law firm to investigate the sexual harassment allegations. But attorneys for Frivola and Cuthbert question whether House Speaker Paul Renner is interested in a real investigation. The attorneys claim the original law firm hired by Renner knew about the sexual harassment allegations and ignored them. We have requested the notes and files from that law firm to see what information Renner had. But so far, the Speaker has refused to release those records. He says our requests are still pending. We'd like to see them sooner than later. In the meantime, Cuthbert and Frivola last week filed EEOC complaints because of the alleged sexual harassment. Nicholas Frivola remains on administrative leave, and the chair of the Florida Democratic Party has called on Basabe to resign. He says he won't and is running for re-election next year. You can be sure we will certainly continue to follow this story in the days, weeks, and months to come. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to contact me, my email is jdefede@cbs.com, and you can follow me on Twitter @DeFede. We'll be back again next week. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.